Let's go, girls.
From New York City to Los Angeles, Powered Up with Beck and Franklin is giving women of all ages permission to live the life they've always dreamed of. Why live in black and white when you can choose the brilliance of 3D and Technicolor? Each week, Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin and their high-powered guests will be here to cheer you on, to share their challenges, their successes, and what they've learned along the way. It's all about women supporting women. The stories and practical tips on sex, beauty, money, and so much more are designed to help you reconnect to the powerful woman you are. Fabulous knows no limits. Now it's time for you to expand your boundaries. Here are Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin.
Hey ladies, this is Sandra Beck and I'm here today with a great guest, Linda Franklin of Shining Service Worldwide. And if you've ever wondered what's being done for military women, I got to tell you, there's not a whole lot. She's here to talk about what she's doing and the amazing, amazing things that are happening as a result. It's so exciting for me today to bring to you Linda Franklin of Shining Service Worldwide. Linda, I got to tell you, what you're doing is nothing short of amazing. And I want to know the story behind the charity, the story behind the woman. Why did you start Shining Service Worldwide, and bring us up to speed as to what it is, what you're doing, because I want to hear everything.
Well, thanks, Sandra, and it's great to be talking with you today. Shining Service started quite by accident. In fact, it was just out of the blue. I had no idea that this would ever happen. As you know, my background is Wall Street. I ran a trading department on Wall Street for like 25 years. And when I left Wall Street, I started a blog. And the blog was all about empowering women over 40. And we talked about everything from finance to sex to relationships to beauty, all the things that would be of interest to women of a certain age. And it was through that blog that I started to get letters from women serving in Afghanistan. And they were telling me how much they liked the blog, how much they liked what I was writing about. And it was doing something very, very interesting to their psyche. It was reconnecting them back to that powerful woman that the military too often wants to beat out of them.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. It's so true. So how did you go from this great blog to this great charity?
Well, they were thanking me for the blog and for the information. And I scratched my head and I said, well, I think there's something wrong with this picture. They're thanking me, and I'm sitting here in my nice warm office, and they're in Afghanistan risking their life for me. So maybe I need to be thanking them, and what can I do? And it was just from that thought that we started. I didn't know squat about any of this, but sometimes you just have to dive in, and then it's miraculous what happens, because when you're doing something good, you attract other people that can help you. So we started with a bracelet, with the Shining Service bracelet, and I would send so many back to Afghanistan and Iraq, and then women here were buying them in conjunction with that. And then we started these beautiful signature makeovers that we're still doing to this day, when we'll take 4 to 6 women, give them a complete makeover at a great hotel or a 5-star salon or a department store. We've done Veterans Day at Bloomingdale's and Lord & Taylor, and they just get head-to-toe treatment. And it's so much more than that, though, because when they are in that space, when they look at themselves in the mirror after they've had this wonderful treatments and beauty and makeup and new clothes, something reconnects again about their womanhood, how important they are. And I don't know, it's like magic.
Well, and let me ask you, what did the women get out of this? And I think what you're doing is great. I think it's really cool, especially, you're not from a military family, you don't have a military background, you didn't serve, but you saw a need, you picked up the ball and you ran with it. But I'm curious, what did the women get out of this from their end? I hear what you're doing, but what do they report back to you that happens as a result of the, program you put them through or the experience you give them? What happens after?
Well, what happens after is they are feeling much better about themselves because they look so much better, than so many don't have said, I haven't had my hair done in months. I've never had a massage. I've never had makeup. I've never worn makeup. And so that's giving them a whole new idea of what can be. And, if they have a job and they go to the office, it's all about how powerful they feel because, when we walk in with confidence and feeling really good about ourselves, it translates to everybody around you and they start to look at you differently. And they're so happy that all of these people are finally saying thank you for your service and appreciating them because they get so little of that. So they're getting the appreciation, they're getting this new idea of what can be from the makeover, and then they are now working within our Shining Service community with other women who have gone through what they have gone through. And I think that's so important because so many feel isolated with just, friends and family members and maybe coworkers now, because if you haven't been what they've been through, there's no way to relate. So they're so grateful for having this community now of trust and friendship with the other, I call them women warriors, with the other women warriors.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Linda, because something's happened in the last decade or last 2 decades is that, women who used to be kind of on the fringe of the military now comprise 20% of the active duty service members. So we're not talking a small population here. When you've got 300,000 active duty, 60,000 of them are women. So, I'm sorry, 3 million. You've got 600,000 that are women,
Yeah.
and people joining up and people leaving. So this is a pretty significant population. And we have different needs than men. That's one thing that, we all can agree on. A man and a woman are different. So when you have a man soldier and a woman soldier, it naturally stands to reason that women have different needs than men when they come back from active duty service or they're reservists or they've experienced, combat stress. Things like that, we have different needs. And what out there is really addressing this difference between service members, because we can sit there all day long and say a veteran's a veteran's a veteran, but you know what? A female veteran is different than a male veteran, and all of our systems are set up to cater to the needs of the male veteran. So what's out there today? Is there a lot out there for veteran women?
A one word short answer, no.
Oh,
No, there isn't, because I call them the invisible population. Because typically when you think of military, you think of men. And when you think of a charity that might serve veterans, you think of wounded warriors. And then you go blank because there's nothing else. And there's so many different little organizations around, but very few. In fact, we are one of maybe a handful that are just focusing on the women because their challenges are so much different. With a man, and if he comes home and he's, unfortunately lost a limb or or something worse, more than one limb, it's very visible. But the women, they're suffering all sorts of psychological problems from PTSD or being a victim of military sexual trauma or the relationships at home, and having left their children and feeling guilty that they left their children. And, the shame of it all when people come up to them and said, how could you do that? How could you leave? So they're walking around with so many issues. And because nobody's bringing them to the forefront, I don't think the general public is aware of it. Right here in New York, we have 19,000 female veterans.
Well, and
So
that's interesting, Linda. You talk about these differences because, when we look at our service members and we think, I would never think about the number of women that went to serve overseas, leaving their children behind. That's not something people talk about. That's not something, and I'm sure they get a lot of backlash. Just from that one scenario alone, I can see where there's a great need for supporting and helping our, women
yeah,
come back into society, and then also preparing, like it's a little reminiscent of, the Vietnam War, where people didn't understand and they came back. We've got kind of a little mini repeat of some things here with different issues and different scenarios, but you've got a woman that comes back, and let's face it, in the household, men and women still these days fill different roles. The women are primarily the nurturers for the children. So when you are handling the issues of a woman veteran coming back who have children, you're really handling a very, very different scenario than a dad veteran coming back, because we do handle these different roles.
oh, absolutely. And then the women, if they've handed off the raising of their children to either a spouse or to their mother or to some other family member, when they come back, it's really hard to get that back because the kids are so used to um, looking at this other person as their caregivers that they don't recognize the mom. And what the pain that causes is unbelievable. So yeah, it's a toughie. It really is. And the thing about women is they don't reach out for help. Women, whether they be civilians or whether they be military, we think we can do it all ourselves. So that's a big issue about these women. A lot of them aren't even recognizing themselves as veterans, so they're not going after the benefits that they are entitled to, and they're carrying the load by themselves. And because they are not out there talking, as I said, they are invisible. So our job at Shining Service is to take the invisible and make them very, very visible. And we're doing that, and we're going to continue to do that. And we are going to be out there like you wouldn't believe.
Well, an author, Brene Brown, talks about, shame can only live in secrecy and darkness. And, when you talk about shedding the light on some of these things and bringing them to the forefront, shame is a very powerful emotion. And when you feel shame because of your choices, you feel shamed by people because of your choices, especially the choice to serve and, leave family members behind and then come back and step into that role again. There's a lot of complex emotions there. And we really need to re-educate the population as a whole, as this war goes into year number 12, that the face of the veteran has changed. Sometimes I'll go speak places, Linda, and I'll talk about veterans, and people will think of old men in baseball caps, walking around with their ship name on the bill, or the old man that was a World War II veteran, or the 50, 60 something Vietnam veteran. But the face of veterans have changed. The face of the new veteran is 20 something. It's female, it's male. We have 19-year-old veterans, which is something that we really have to change the paradigm in which we frame the word veteran, because it's not, it's like that Cadillac commercial. This isn't your dad's Cadillac. Well, this isn't your typical veteran. And so we have to adjust. We have to adjust for these young men and these young women and provide services for them. And that's what you're doing, Linda. And I want to ask, what are some ways people can get involved?
Oh, there's so many ways. They can come in, and volunteer in our organization. With our makeovers, we do 6 or 7 a year. So we're always looking for makeup artists and hair people that can help with that. We're looking for companies that can give us dresses to outfit our women in. We're always looking for partnerships. As I said, we just did Lord and Taylor, their main flagship store on Fifth Avenue for Veterans Day. So we're always looking for these partnerships because this helps us get the word out. It's all about awareness now, and we are on a big awareness campaign. And then, of course, donations are always welcome because we're going to be launching into a breakthrough study come January, and other things will follow from that. So there's just so many ways. They just have to go to my website, shiningserviceworldwide.com, and drop me an email, and I'll listen to all ideas.
Well, and I love this, Linda, because there's ways to get involved and there's ways that people can help you. Like if you're somebody listening today and you don't have means and you're not in a position to make a donation, you can write to some companies and find out what they're doing for women veterans and say, you know what, if there's a product or service that you like out there, write them a letter, send them an email, send them a tweet saying, what are you doing for our female veterans? What are you doing for our female service members? And maybe send a link, say, check out Shining Service Worldwide. You need to get involved with this organization. The power of the tweet, the power of the repost today, girls, is huge. So if you're listening to this show and you're on Twitter and you're on Facebook, find the YouTube videos that are up for Shining Service and post them to your page. Post some tweets out there so that people can know what's happening with veteran women today, because together we are very strong. We can be women helping women. And yes, if your family member is an executive at a big company, call them up and say, you know what, grandpa or uncle or dad, what are you doing for women veterans today? Have you seen what Shining Service Worldwide is doing? Because together we're strong. Together we're powerful.
Yeah.
We can make a lot of noise as women on Facebook. Linda, you and I know that. We're experts at making noise.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're always looking for corporate sponsors because, that is getting the word out nationally is terrific. We're going to be doing a lot more projects online that will, make this a national organization because, there's women veterans all over the country that really, really need our help. So, yeah. Come one, come all. As Hillary said, it takes a village, but in this case, it's certainly more than a village.
Well, it is. And we're already out there on social media talking. When I go on Facebook and I put something up, people post it and repin it,
Yeah.
and, the power that we have today as individuals, as women, corporations are paying all this money to get women to get out there and, market for their cause or whatever, market for their things. Well, you have a lot of power right in your keyboard just by sharing Linda's videos, just by sharing Shining Service. Get out there and retweet and repost and raise awareness. If everybody does their part, we can make a difference. And then just think about when you repost, a video of Shining Service, or you repost or retweet one of Shining Service's tweets, think about how you're doing your part to support and honor the women who served. And I think that's really cool because anybody can click and repost. It's not like it's rocket science.
No, absolutely. And the power of the internet, the power of social media these days is tremendous. And I don't have to tell you that. When you see every day these videos that go viral, babies and dogs and this, this is, and they're wonderful and they're cute. But this is really something that really needs to go viral and to attract attention of so many people, because in this society, you get a celebrity attached to it or a sports star attached to it. And then all of a sudden, all the followers come out and it becomes a big, big deal. And we need this to be a big deal because there's so many women out there that need our help.
They do need our help, Linda, and reaching out by reposting, by making a phone call, by writing an email to a favorite product or company on our behalf. The reason we're reaching out to listeners today is because together we're very powerful. And these women are going to be the women that are in your kids' kindergarten. They're a mom that was, a mom of a kindergarten. I look on my street, I've got lots of women who have served, and one was a jet mechanic. The other one, was a computer warrior, cyber warrior. And the face is changing. And these are the women that are in our soccer groups. They're the women that are in our kids' preschool. They're the women that coach, the high school basketball team. They're everywhere. They're every woman. And when we stand together as women and we stand strong and we make a difference, we can do a huge amount of good just by taken a minute to repost, to repin, to retweet, to write an email, to ask a question. If somebody works at a big company, ask them what they're doing for women veterans. And if they don't have an answer, tell them go to Shining Service Worldwide. Linda, is there anything else you want to add for today?
No, I think that we've just about covered it. There's a lot of challenges. We're a new organization. We're going into our 5th year. We've accomplished a lot in 4 years, and we've got a lot of wonderful support. But we're growing fast, and it's not fast enough for me, because when I go to our events and other events where these women veterans are there, and some were homeless, and some are walking around on prosthesis, and some are blind, and some are just not being able to get a job, and not being able to do anything because they can't get any child care for their kids. It's just, it needs attention. It really does. And what's really one of our big challenges, and this is what we're going to address in our breakthrough study, is a lot of the women aren't self-identifying as veterans, and they're not coming forward for the help. We want to know why. Because if we can reconfigure how we invite them to come in for the help, I think we're going to make a lot of waves. I think we're going to help so many more women veterans when we know how to approach them in a friendly, easy way, where they don't have to go through tons and tons of paperwork and stand in line and go to the VA and do all the things that they don't want to do, so they're not getting the help. We want to change that.
Well, and when we change the way of women, just like the right to vote, when we change the way we think about veterans, when we change the way we do things, when we just lift a little bit, lift one little twig and put it on the pile, we can break the camel's back. And the camel's back that we want to break is we want to break down the shame. We want to break down the reasons people aren't reaching out for help. And we can all put our arms around service women everywhere and say, we are proud of what you do. We support you. We're going to help you be the best you can be, because that's going to impact generations to come. Linda Franklin, I'm so glad that you were with me today. The website is shiningserviceworldwide.com, just like it sounds. And I want you guys to go out, and I want you to look for these tweets. I want you to look for these posts. I want you to look for these videos, spread them out virally, spread the word. You don't have to open your pocketbooks unless you can. You can make a difference by asking your friends and your family that work for large corporations, that work for different services, what are you doing for women veterans today, because they are buying your products. I'm putting the challenge out for everyone listening today. I thank you, Linda Franklin, for what you're doing for Shining Service Worldwide, for what you're doing for women veterans, for what you do to raise awareness for women's issues. This is Sandra Beck, and I'm signing off today with a challenge. I need you guys to go out and make a difference. They protected our freedoms. Now we need to do our part and help them get back on their feet.
We're so glad you joined us for Powered Up with Beck and Franklin. Sandra Beck, Los Angeles-based single mother and technology company owner, knows what it's like to be fit, funny, and fantastic in your 40s. Linda Franklin, a New Yorker with a successful marriage and prominent career, is the brains behind the Real Cougar Woman. She shares her wisdom, grace, and laugh-out-loud opinions based on her stellar successes, both in the financial world and in her personal life. Check out our website, poweredupwithbeckandfranklin.com, and join us next week for another great conversation. We're here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, right here on Toginet.com.